Usually, success is kind of thought of as this big process of accumulation.
Right, like an additive thing.
Exactly. You get the degree, you secure the job, you curate this really impressive professional persona, maybe you acquire some property.
Yeah, you build the portfolio.
Right. And society basically points to that expanding pile of achievements and says, yep, there it is. That is a successful adult.
We operate almost exclusively on that additive model, across the board.
Yeah.
Maturity is essentially measured by how many responsibilities, how many titles, and social boundaries you can successfully manage. Like, the heavier the psychological load, the more successful you supposedly are.
But today, we are looking at a philosophical roadmap that demands you completely dismantle that entire structure.
Throw it all out.
Literally all of it. If you want what this text considers a perfect soul, your very first step is basically forgetting what it means to be a functioning, respectable adult entirely.
Which is a huge ask.
It's a massive ask. So we are doing a deep dive into a text from 2010. It's by an author named Xu Feng, and it's titled The Symbol of a Perfect Soul.
And it has that really fascinating subtitle, too.
Yes, the subtitle is Non-Material Structure of Life. And that's life in all capital letters, by the way.
Right. And when the author uses that phrasing, the non-material structure of life, we first have to sort of understand the underlying physics of the universe being constructed here.
Because it's not physical physics, right?
Exactly. This isn't about biology or genetics at all. The non-material structure really refers to the architecture of consciousness.
Oh, okay.
It is the spiritual and, the psychological blueprint that dictates how a being processes reality. And the foundational premise of this whole text is that our modern societal conditioning has severely warped this blueprint.
Like, we've built things that shouldn't be there.
Precisely. We're building artificial walls where there should just be open space.
Wow. Okay, so the text actually outlines 8 specific standards required to strip away that distortion. And the goal is to achieve a state of what they call relative perfection.
Which is an important distinction.
It is, yeah. That relative perfection is what allows you entry into a realm called the 1,000-year world. But what I love is that the author explicitly states there is no such thing as absolute perfection.
Yeah, that immediately lowers the temperature of the whole text, I think.
It really does.
Yeah.
Because it acknowledges that perfection isn't this, static, impossible monolith. A human can achieve a specific baseline of perfection that's relative to their current state of being.
Setting the goal at relative perfection provides a functional entry point for the reader.
Yeah, it feels doable.
Right. And these 8 standards we are going to examine, they are the specific requirements to operate at the frequency of what the text calls a 1,000-year world celestial.
A celestial.
Yeah. It is essentially a meticulous guide to shedding your accumulated social programming and completely re-engineering your internal world.
So let's get into the very first standard, which is the primary hurdle to becoming one of these celestials. It requires a complete, absolute eradication of shame.
Zero shame.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the mechanism the text uses to explain this is incredibly dense. It demands that your nature must be fully exhibited, just completely unfettered by embarrassment.
And they bring in some heavy imagery for this.
They really do. It uses the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. It points out that in the beginning, they were nude and shameless.
Right.
But the exact moment they felt shame, they were dismissed from paradise to live a mortal life on earth. So the argument is, to return to that higher state of being, you have to eliminate the feeling of shame entirely.
What's fascinating here is how the text systematically bridges two massive, seemingly opposing theological concepts.
Oh, so?
Well, it brings them together to create a single psychological standard. In Western theology, specifically that Adam and Eve narrative you just mentioned, the arrival of shame is literally synonymous with original sin.
Right.
It's the exact moment humans became painfully self-aware, judged themselves, and essentially severed their direct connection to the divine.
They realized they were naked and they hid.
Exactly. But then Xu Feng immediately pivots, and he pairs this with Eastern philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
He quotes Jesus saying, "You must become like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven," but then he directly equates that unfettered, completely shameless childhood state to Buddhahood.
So he's bringing the Western concept of escaping original sin right together with the Eastern concept of enlightenment.
Yes.
And he's anchoring both of them to, the psychology of a toddler.
That is essentially what he's doing.
Yeah.
The author is using these incredibly heavy religious symbols to point toward a highly practical mechanism of human behavior.
Which is shame.
Right. Shame is fundamentally a tool of social control.
Oh, absolutely.
From early childhood, shame is how the tribe enforces compliance.
Yep.
It dictates what desires are acceptable, how we present ourselves, how we conform to established hierarchies.
Yeah, it keeps us in line.
So demanding the total eradication of shame is basically demanding the destruction of that entire external control mechanism.
Yeah.
You are returning to your core nature, completely free from the constant regulating pressure of the public gaze.
And it pushes this idea even further, too. It demands that a person be innocent, artless, and highly skilled at playing and entertaining.
Yes, playing. Yeah.
Because this thousand-year world is fundamentally a place of joy.
Right.
The visual I get when I read this is that, we spend decades forging this dense armor of adulthood.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Like we learn to suppress our playful impulses because society deems them, I don't know, unproductive. We are taught that serious people do serious things.
Always grinding.
Exactly. But this text treats being good and playing with the exact same reverence that traditional doctrines treat fasting or like deep meditation.
Well, I mean, the theology of play is deeply subversive to a capitalist or highly structured society.
Oh, for sure.
Think about it. When a child plays, they are entirely present. There is no past regret. There's no future anxiety. The ego isn't, managing a reputation or calculating a return on investment.
They're just doing it.
Right. If you are deeply engaged in artless play, the non-material structure of your life is vibrating at a frequency of pure existence rather than a frequency of societal performance.
Wow. Okay, so if we successfully dismantle that armor of adulthood and we abandon our shame, the text then outlines how that altered internal state changes our physical interactions with the world around us.
The external results.
Yeah. It describes a celestial as someone who treats all creatures as friends, and the author is very specific here. That doesn't just mean your golden retriever.
No, not at all.
The text explicitly says you treat even a blade of grass and a piece of wood as a friend. You never hurt insects or birds, you just coexist harmoniously with heaven and earth.
I mean, elevating a blade of grass to the status of a friend actively rewires the brain's hierarchical processing.
It totally flattens it.
Exactly. Because human cognition naturally categorizes the world by utility.
Right.
We constantly assess, what can I eat? What can I build with? What is a threat?
Right.
Viewing a piece of wood as an equal friend disables the mental circuitry that commodifies the world. You are no longer standing above nature as an architect or a consumer. You are woven into it as a peer.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And the text takes that dissolution of hierarchy and applies it directly to human relationships, too. It states you treat everyone you meet as family, every place is home, and you treat everybody equally without differentiation.
Right. Radical equality.
Yeah, and you own nothing. You possess no one, you are never jealous, and you never compare yourself with others. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Let's hear it.
Because applying this boundless empathy to a blade of grass is one thing, but saying you possess, no one really challenges the foundational structure of human intimacy.
It does.
I mean, our entire concept of connection is built on claims. We say, my spouse, my child, my best friend. How is it structurally possible to deeply love someone without that fundamental sense of mine?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it requires a complete recalibration of what love actually is.
Okay.
In our current paradigm, love is heavily intertwined with ownership, with exclusivity and security. We literally use the language of real estate to describe our hearts.
Oh, wow, we do.
Yeah, we give someone a piece of our heart, we carve out a space for them, we guard that relationship against intruders. But the text points out that jealousy and comparison can only exist when there is a me who fears losing a you.
But if I deeply love my partner, right, but I completely remove the concept that they belong to me, it almost sounds like, I don't know, emotional detachment.
I see why you'd say that, but it is actually the exact opposite of detachment. It is an extreme, boundaryless empathy.
Okay, explain that.
Removing the concept of ownership eliminates the root cause of relational friction. You are loving the flower by appreciating its existence in the soil, rather than cutting it at the stem to possess it in a vase on your kitchen table.
Ah, I love that analogy.
Right. If every place is your home, you have no need to build fences. If everyone is family, the biological instinct to hoard resources for your specific genetic offspring just evaporates.
Because everyone is yours, sort of.
Exactly. The love remains intensely present, but the transactional expectation of exclusivity is completely gone.
So, operating without those psychological fences creates a very specific internal ecosystem.
It has to, yeah.
The text outlines the emotional baseline of a celestial as being perfectly healthy, positive, and optimistic. You are completely devoid of negative feelings, hesitation, or worry. And the text notes you aren't even on guard against anything.
Well, to be completely off guard means your non-material structure has dismantled all of its defense mechanisms.
Which sounds terrifying.
It does. But defense mechanisms require a massive amount of cognitive energy.
Yeah.
They require you to constantly scan the horizon for threats, constantly evaluate the motives of others, constantly prepare for betrayal.
It's exhausting.
It is. Dropping that vigilance frees up an immense reservoir of spiritual and psychological energy.
But walking around modern society completely off guard, devoid of any negative feelings, I mean, that sounds like a recipe for getting destroyed by bad actors.
People will definitely take advantage.
Yeah. It sounds like the ultimate form of toxic positivity. But, okay, the text does pair this vulnerability with another strict requirement. You must keep a low profile.
Right.
You are perfectly ordinary. You feel neither superiority nor inferiority. You never act out of bravado, and you have absolutely zero desire to manage or control others.
It demands you wipe the very concepts of outstanding and superior from your cognitive map entirely.
And this is where the mechanics of being off guard actually start to make a little sense to me. Because if you drop the desire to be outstanding, you don't really need heavy defenses. Well, it's kind of like the difference between being a thermostat and being a thermometer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, like most of us operate like broken thermostats.
Mm-hmm.
We are aggressively trying to heat or cool the room to match our specific desires, basically burning out our motors, fighting against the ambient reality.
Yes.
But being perfectly ordinary and having no desire to control anything, it means you become the thermometer. Or even, like, water.
Like water.
Yeah, being perfectly ordinary, you just take the shape of whatever container you're in. You adapt to the stream without needing to control the stream. You are simply registering the environment, adapting to the circumstance without the friction of trying to force the world to accommodate your ego.
Now, this raises an important question about how deeply entrenched our cultural programming actually is.
Definitely.
Because from preschool onward, we are conditioned to be leaders, to stand out, to disrupt, to climb whatever hierarchy we are placed into.
Oh, 100%.
Swiffing is systematically disassembling the engine of human ambition. The desire to manage someone else implies a baseline belief that you possess a superior understanding of how things should be.
Right, that you know better than they do.
Exactly. The moment you decide to manage another person, you have resurrected the ego. You have stepped out of the horizontal plane where humans and blades of grass are equal, and you have rebuilt a vertical hierarchy.
Which totally breaks the standard. But that lack of hierarchy brings up a very practical problem.
What's that?
Well, if you have no defenses, if you are perfectly ordinary, and you refuse to control anyone, you risk becoming a passive vessel, like a doormat.
Yeah, that's it.
You would just float through the world, absorbing whatever damage or dysfunction comes your way. But the text introduces a crucial caveat about boundaries that prevents this from turning into sheer passivity.
Yes, the eighth standard is the structural anchor of this whole thing. It is the rule that keeps this entire philosophy from devolving into self-destruction.
Right, so the text states that a celestial does what they like, but within boundaries. They are free and unrestrained, but even tempered. They revere the greatest creator, they revere life, and they revere nature.
And here comes the twist.
Yeah, then it drops this massive requirement. It says they never complain or get angry, and they never make mischief among people, but they never swallow insult and humiliation silently. And they never allow their will to be abused.
That single sentence recontextualizes the entire roadmap.
It totally flips it.
It proves that a lack of ego does not equate to a lack of self-worth.
So what does this all mean? How do you harmonize having absolutely no ego, no defenses, and a mandate to never get angry with a strict refusal to swallow an insult silently?
It's a tricky balance.
It really is. I mean, if someone insults me at work, my immediate reaction is anger because my professional pride is hurt. How do I not swallow the insult if I'm not allowed to use anger to defend myself?
Well, the key is identifying the source of the boundary. When we get angry at an insult, it is the ego reacting to a perceived loss of social status. But a celestial doesn't have an ego, and they don't recognize status. They do, however, possess a profound reverence for life.
Capital letters, life.
Capital letters, exactly. You are a physical manifestation of that life. Therefore, allowing yourself to be abused or humiliated is actively participating in the degradation of life itself.
Oh, wow. So you protect yourself with the exact same objective care that you would protect the blade of grass.
That's exactly it. You objectively recognize that abuse is out of alignment with the harmony of the universe. You assert your boundary, not out of a need to win an argument, not out of pride.
But out of obligation.
Yes, out of a cosmic obligation to maintain the integrity of existence. You calmly and firmly reject the abuse. You don't scream at the person throwing the metaphorical punch. You simply refuse to stand in the path of their dysfunction.
You just step aside.
Right. You maintain your even temper, but you do not absorb their chaos.
Incredible. And according to the text, if you can successfully navigate all of this, if you can shed your shame, return to artless play, treat every physical object as an equal friend, eliminate the concept of superiority, love without possessing, and fiercely protect your will without a single trace of anger, you finally reach the first milestone.
The scale of this cosmology is vast.
Yeah.
I mean, meeting these 8 incredibly demanding psychological standards merely qualifies you to enter the group of celestials in the 1,000-year world.
That's just level 1.
Exactly. The text makes it clear that this is just the foundational level of reality. From there, you cultivate yourself further on this basis to qualify for the 10,000-year world, eventually a state of being called the Elysium world.
Wow.
The 1,000-year world is essentially just the starting line of true spiritual evolution.
You basically spend a lifetime unlearning your adult armor just to get to the starting block.
Precisely.
Man! So, to recap our journey today, we've explored a radical 2010 roadmap to a perfect soul that requires a total teardown of what we consider maturity.
Burn it all down.
Yeah. It asks us to drop the heavy mechanism of shame and return to play. It requires us to view strangers as family and the literal grass beneath our feet as an equal companion.
It's beautiful, but challenging.
Very. It challenges us to abandon the desire to be outstanding or to possess the people we love, while simultaneously maintaining a fierce, angerless boundary against the abuse of our own will.
Which forces a harsh but necessary light onto the artificial hierarchical structures we use to navigate our daily lives.
Yeah,
It really reveals just how much energy we waste maintaining them.
absolutely. And honestly, even if you aren't actively trying to ascend to the 1,000-year world, these 8 standards serve as a profound mirror.
They really do.
Hold them up to our daily stressors. So much of our modern anxiety is manufactured by desperate need to maintain status, to protect our possessions and to basically manage the behaviors of the people around us.
So as you move through the rest of your day, I suggest a small psychological experiment for the listener.
Ooh, I love a good experiment.
Imagine if, for just the next 24 hours, you completely forgot the concepts of superiority and inferiority.
Just wipe them out.
Right. If you interacted with your boss, your neighbor, and a complete stranger with the exact same level of playful, fearless equality,
Yeah.
how drastically would your reality change by tomorrow?
I mean, my day would look completely different, that's for sure.
I think all of ours would.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the non-material structure of life. Keep exploring the boundaries of your own knowledge, and we will catch you next time.